Hello everyone, welcome and thank you for joining our webinar Product Launch Professional Scrum Product Owner. My name is Roos Meijnen and I'm with Quint, Wellington, Redwood. I will be your host for during this session. I will explain a little bit about our organization. Quint is an independent consulting firm and our portfolio is focused on providing consultancy and training aimed at optimizing IT-intensive processes. Next to our consulting practice, Quint Academy develops and delivers IT management training courses responding to the training needs of IT professionals. All training materials are developed by our experts working in a daily practice with our clients. Worldwide, over 30,000 professionals choose Quint Academy every year. Quint Solutions offers a complete portfolio of training products and services to match the needs of training providers all around the globe. Without any further delay, I would like to introduce our presenter today, Eddie Huisman. He is a senior consultant with Quint for quite some time and very much experience in high-performing IT, as well as an Agile coach, Scrum Master and trainer. He has helped some of the world's largest organizations streamline and accelerate their customer value. Eddie, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Roos, for introducing me, and welcome everybody to this webinar about the new product owner training which we developed and we're very proud of. It's my pleasure to go over some of the content of the training and give you some more insight about it. The objectives of this webinar are, well, to explain a little bit about why Agile is so important for the business world now at this moment, and why we created this product owner training. We'll tell you a little bit about the course outline and the different materials which are part of it. Explain the added value of our training, because there's of course more training available in the market, and the certification process, so that you will have an idea how to actually become a professional Scrum product owner and certify yourself. Well, why this course? It's probably not a surprise that Agile is very popular at this moment in the market. And why is this? This is really because the market is changing, business is changing, and what everybody sees happening is that the traditional ways of doing projects, well, is not as successful as doing Agile. And Agile is really about learning faster than competitors, have a better time to market, and learn about the business value and developing solutions. So the purpose of this training, because of this, is, well, of course, to be prepared for the exam, but also to get more familiar with the Scrum framework, which is the background of the whole training, and then of course become a professional Scrum product owner. The basis of Agile is the Agile Manifesto, which is a manifesto which was developed by some top professionals in the software market, and they came up with this manifesto, which is backed up with 12 principles, which we're not going over in this webinar. But I always say, if you want to remember one thing, or actually 4 things about Agile, remember these things. And this is really of Agile and of everything that you read and see about Agile. A very important background to become an Agile professional and to create business agility for your organization. And actually what you see here is not rocket science, but really important to understand when you want to become an Agile professional or an Agile company. And you see that it's based on interactions between individuals, that you find it more important to create working software than create comprehensive documentation. Collaborating with the customer is more important than contract negotiation, and responding to change is probably the most important one. It's more important than following a plan. So all the other ones are actually, everything on the right is important, but everything on the left we find more important in Agile. And Scrum and also the role of the product owner is really about doing practical Agile. A target group, so for whom is this a good training? It is really well, a good training for everyone that is about creating the highest value from products and provide a Scrum team with the right business requirements. What you do see happening is that product owners are people that have a business background, but sometimes also a background as a project manager. And if you want to understand the Scrum way of working, if you want to create quick results while anticipating on change, or if you are already a product owner and you want to validate your knowledge by being certified, this training is for you. And really, anyone that wants to successfully guide a team towards a desired business outcome, create business value, customer value, will be very happy with this training and can be successful. And if you study the training, when you study the Scrum Guide, and have a good business understanding, it will be easily possible for you to become certified. The course outline is in line with the exam, which we'll go over a little bit later, and consists of 5 modules. The first module is really about the background of Agile and Scrum and explains some more about the Scrum theory and principles. The second module is an inside look at the Scrum framework and all the different roles and processes within that framework. Especially the first day is about these 2 modules, but it also has the third module, which is a little bit smaller. It gives you more explanation on how teams become cross-functional and self-organizing, which is a very important part of Scrum, that you work with those kind of teams. The second day of the training is really about maximizing value and product backlog management. So those are 2 specific items for product owner training and are part of the second day of the training. Maximizing value is really about, of course, customer value, and product backlog will go over product backlog and what it does a little bit more in detail in this webinar. This is the Scrum framework, which most of you or some of you have probably already seen. What we try to do is create a big picture, which is sort of the red line between everything that's in the course, and we'll go back to this framework all the time and explain all the different items so that you have a firm understanding about the Scrum framework, which is also a big part of the exam, which is why this is so important. And the Scrum framework is really, it might look a bit difficult on first view, but if you look at the following slides and you see what it's built up of, it's not that difficult, because the Scrum framework really exists and consists of only 3 roles: the product owner, the development team, and the Scrum Master. Then there's 4 events in the whole Scrum framework: the daily stand-up, the sprint planning session, the sprint review, and the retrospective. And then there's 3 artifacts. You could also call them products, which are the product backlog, the sprint backlog, and the dashboard, which shows all kinds of different reports. So really it's 4 roles. Oh, 3 roles. Sorry. It's 4 events and 3 artifacts, which makes it a very easy to understand framework. But I must say it's sometimes, depending on the organization where you work, difficult to implement. Everything that Scrum delivers and does is made visual on the Scrum Board, which you could generally look at this, and all the different that you see on the Scrum Board are also explained in the training. Well, then let's go to well, the most important subject of this training, which is the product owner. As you will probably understand, in the training there will be a lot of talking about the product owner, but also about the relations that the product owner has with, of course, the development team, the Scrum Master, the organization. So we'll go over this extensively, discuss some of the business values like return on investment. Why is this important for the product owner? How does he or she use the product backlog? And why is the scope, vision, and roadmap so important for a product owner? And as you can see on this slide, the product owner has a lot of stakeholders with whom he or she has to deal with. So you see product managers, you see that you have to make decisions, you have to manage business stakeholders, but also when knowledge is not available within the team itself, you need to mobilize it from other parts of the company. You have to respect the sprint commitment of the development team, so you have to work closely with the development team. And all these different kind of roles and stakeholders make it a very challenging role, but also a very nice role to have. Most people that I know that have become product owners are very happy with their job, although they sometimes do say that it's a hard job. And most important for the product owner, as you can see in a more detailed part of the Scrum framework, is the product vision. So your customers, they want something, they want to have value created to you. They communicate this to the business, and then within the business, the product owner is chosen, and he or she comes up with a product vision, which is the basis for everything that the team is going to deliver. So this product vision is extremely important. And parts of the training are also, of course, to explain and help you how to create a compelling product vision, as this is so important. And this is just an example of a slide which shows you that there are tricks and practices to use when you need to create a product vision. Of course, there's also exercises in the training, and this is an example of that. So within the training, a team creates their own product vision and also use that during the training to understand parts of the framework a little bit better. So they create an app or a product. We ask them to come up with something new and use that example all the time to get a better understanding during the training. So there's several of these exercises in the training. As I said before, product owners collaborate a lot with different stakeholders, and that's what you see on this slide. So we'll go over all the relationships between the product owner and these different stakeholders to get a good understanding why the job is so challenging. Well, that will give you, of course, in the training a good understanding about what's important for the product owner. We'll go over the different ways of creating a product backlog and go over these kind of subjects in detail to give you a good understanding on what are the differences between epics, features, and user stories, which are items within Scrum used to describe different kinds of work packages. An epic is it's just a theme, it's a big part of the work. A feature is a little bit smaller, and then there's user stories, which are really small work items that can be used in the product backlog. The product backlog is a list for the product owner to give insights on what needs to be built, created, delivered the coming period, and it's really an extensive list. It's the responsibility of the product owner to create the list, to prioritize it, and keep it up to date, maintain it, and it's really the single source of requirements within an Agile project, so also within Scrum. As I said, the product owner is responsible, so during the training we will also learn you to create a product backlog and make sure that it's maintained in the right way, prioritized in the right way, and also give you tricks to be able to do those kind of things. And to really understand how to do that, we will of course create a product backlog. We divide the group that is given the training into different teams, and these teams will actually create their own product backlog based on the product vision that they created earlier in the training. So for the product or the service that was being invented, they will actually create a product backlog to have a good understanding about what is this and how can you actually manage this. The value of the product owner training is of course not just certification. There's a lot of different companies that give this training. And what we have tried to do within the training is also give some added value to make sure that not only can you certify for the exam, but also become a confident product owner. So we'll give you a lot of insights, tell you a lot of stories about what a product owner is and does, anecdotes, practical stories, exercises, so that you become a confident product owner in your first assignment as a product owner, and also be able to start with your first Scrum team and become very successful. So it's about how to create the product vision, how to deliver value to customers, how to do good product backlog management, and of course make sure that customer value is delivered at the end of the product, but also after every sprint. So this is really the added value next to getting certified, which is of course just the start of your product owner career. When you look at the exam is not part of the training. The exam needs to be done with Scrum.org, and actually what you do there, you create a login, you have a login and a password, you create an account with Scrum.org, and that is where you do the exam. The number of questions that you get is 80. They are challenging, but when you study hard and have a good understanding about business values and the Scrum Guide, you will be able to do it. There's 3 types of questions: multiple choice, true or false, and multi-selection questions. And you have to get 85% correct. The exam is 60 minutes, so 80 questions in 60 minutes is a challenge, but it can be done. And the pricing at this moment, and please check because it's changed sometimes, is $200 American. So this concludes my overview of what the training is all about, and well, there's now time for questions if anyone has any. So Rose, do we have any questions?
Thank you, Udi. Yes, we do. First question, is this training different from the product owner training that's organized by the Scrum Alliance?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Scrum was created by 2 people, and at a certain moment they had a change of opinion on how the future of Scrum was. So there's actually 2 big companies that do Scrum or create Scrum material and Scrum training, the Scrum Alliance and Scrum.org. And actually, although they are 2 different companies, the training is very similar. So you see Scrum professionals working for both companies who give a very practical training, but the material is really about what is in the Scrum Guide, and the Scrum Guide is still used by both of these companies. And specifically for the product owner training, it's also partly about business values and business practices like total cost of ownership, the cone of uncertainty, and those kind of things. So although there's 2 different companies and in detail they do some things differently, the training is really all about the same material. So someone that did the exam with the Scrum Alliance and someone that did the exam with Scrum.org, well, there's no difference in their knowledge, maybe apart from their practical knowledge, but just looking at the theory, there's no difference.
Okay, thank you. Next question, is it necessary to do the Scrum Master training before this training?
That's another question that I hear a lot. No, it's not necessary, but it depends really on your role. If you do the exam and you do the training because you want to become just a product owner, you are a product manager, business manager at this moment, and someone in your company tells you that you will get this role, it's probably enough to just do the product owner training, because as I said, a big part of the training, almost the full first day, is really about the theory of Scrum. If you want to become a broader Scrum professional and you might also get the role of the Scrum Master, it's probably a good idea to do the Scrum Master training also, but you don't have to do it in that order. It's not like you have to do the Scrum Master training first and then the Product Owner training. You can also do it in, well, the Product Owner training first and then the Scrum Master training. And what we actually can offer is do a 3-day training where we do first day training of just the framework, and then second and third day it's really about either the product owner or the Scrum Master. So it's also a possibility if someone wants to do that. Okay. Hope that answers the question.
I see another question. What do you advise to do in preparation of the exam next to studying the Scrum Guide?
Yeah, because the Scrum Guide is of course a very theoretical document, and it does contain an extensive overview about the Scrum framework, all the roles and all the events and all that, which is also part of the training. What you see happening in the exam is that there's mentioning of business subjects. So it's probably good to have a good understanding about well, modern business rules, and try and read a lot about these kind of different things. As I said, there's subjects like the total cost of ownership and those kind of business subjects, which is good to understand. They are not really part of the training, but Scrum.org, when you do the exam, does expect you to have a sort of business background. So then it's always good to reread some of your material on that, and that it can be really helpful. It's not that you will not pass the exam, but it will make it easier for you to understand some of the questions, because although one of the questions might be about a business subject, it's always asked in relation to the role of the product owner. So if you understand that role very good, you will definitely be able to pass the exam.
Okay, thank you. I have another question. Do you have different training for the Scrum Product Owner 1 and Scrum Product Owner 2?
No, not at this moment. At this moment, the training that we are talking about now, that this webinar is really for part 1 of the training, and that there is indeed a 2 version, which is more detailed, which is really about it's really meant for product owners that are already a product owner for some time and need some more detail on their job, want to hear more practical stories. So it's difficult to create a training like this for product owner 2. What you really need to create is have sessions with existing product owners together and work on cases. That is not what this training is about. This training is really about part 1, and in the future we might actually develop a training for part 2 also. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay. Another question. How is the demand for the Scrum Product Owner certification compared to the Product Scrum Master, the PSM, I think?
Well, in the past, I would say it was about 90% of training for Scrum Masters and only 10% of product owners. But as Scrum has become bigger and bigger the last couple of years, it has become apparent that the product owner is probably the most important role in Scrum. So at this moment, I would say it's about 60-40, so 60% Scrum Master, 40% product owner. And it wouldn't surprise me if in the near future it would be the other way around. So the demand is growing and growing at this moment, because, as I said, it's very apparent that the product owner is probably the most important role in the Scrum team. So it's really an evolution of the last couple of years, and the demand is really big at this moment.
Okay. Thank you, Eddie, for answering the questions and, of course, your presentation. And thank you to the audience for participating. We at Quint hope that you found this session both educational and informative. Please check out our website, www.quintgroup.com, to learn more and get access to some of our great white papers, blog posts, and other thought-provoking pieces on Lean IT, DevOps, Agile, ITSM, and more in our Knowledge Center. If you have any additional inquiries, please feel free to reach out to us and even Eddie directly to discuss this topic. As mentioned before, please take a moment to answer 3 short questions that will appear after I close this webinar. It will help us understand your needs. Thank you again, have a good day, and hopefully till next time. Bye-bye.